the untold story of people who want to be candidates to rule Australia and or to lead it into a colony, to act as a colony of the United Nations. There are a couple of stories hanging in the background that are never told. One is very current, topical, one in the case of Shorten, who is before the court with Dyson Heydon at the moment. Now, his fitness to be the future Prime Minister, particularly the main point is if it's done by using GetUp votes. Number two is to whether he deserves it because of his association with the AWU earlier on, because that is a period when a shadow fell over the 1994, I think, 1994, over Shorten, because he was second to Robert Kernahan, who was the Victorian head of the AWU. Now, when that scandal came up about Gillard and the $1 million, in fact, Shorten and Julian Gillard both got money from it. Now, Shorten actually got money to buy his way into a seat and was going to stand for a seat in the Victorian Parliament. Julian Gillard actually did stand for the Senate using some of that AWU money. The stories that were never told. Now, in the process, Robert Kernahan recently was brought up by the Pickering Papers, the story that Kernahan had been bashed up, and he was the boss of Shorten at the time as head of the AWU in Victoria. And he was bashed up by three people who bashed him to the ground because he was going to go to the press to tell them the truth about the $1 million. Well, that story's been republished in the Pickering Papers. Number two was Combat, because Combat led the cavalcade on Parliament in 1994, I think it was. He organised that, and including the money he organised into that was he organised the CMFU. And he made a curious condition with the police about how to do it. And he wanted to walk around Parliament, march around Parliament, I guess, and he got a number of unions to go. And the CMFU being among them, naturally a bit of a shadow fell on them as to the cause of the riot which ensued. Because in going around Parliament they became separated, out of the control. The police, 169 police had to be called in, and they had weapons with them to bash in the doors of Parliament House. And that's the only occasion when their forces ever tried to break into Parliament House and succeeded. And it says a lot about the characters involved. Now, Combat was one of the people who created GetUp. He has now retired from politics very recently, which I think is a very wise decision. And so that aspect of his career will fall away, unfortunately. It's the untold stories behind these people are not canvassed later on when they make their careers, and the power that they have has now been unified because I'm talking about Combat retiring from Parliament. The power they used, they've ended up, Combat is now the head of all the unions, or was till recently. I haven't checked the exact dates, whether he's still there or not. And Shorten's head of the Parliament. So they control the entire Labour network. I had someone come quite recently and said, could I help in the BWU because of the terrible things were going on in their meetings? And I said I couldn't really, unfortunately. It is, the problem arises from the rise of the unions. And I, being old, saw the beginning of that in the 60s, when they stopped calling themselves communists. They all became the left, so nobody of the two younger generations know that the left means communist and means Russian communist or Trotsky communist or any differentiations. Trotsky communists wanted to run one world through the United Nations, and leftists wanted merely to run the world um, um, to run the world through Lenin's communists to run the world through taking single countries. That was a big difference between them. So the Trotskyites, and I knew them all, because there were only 33 of them when my husband was young fighting with them and against them, these days in the Labour Party. And the difference between they fought and the Leninists won. But I think in a way the Trotskyists won because Laurie Short finished up combining the Federated Ironworkers Union with the AWU and made them a monster union who run the country now under Shorten. It's a huge union, very powerful, lot of money. And the other one, finished up Cobbett running the national organisation of the new unions, the political organisations of all the unions themselves. So that had been the ambition of both sides, Trotskyists and Leninists, to get the mega unions. At the time when my husband left them and went into law, the 22 unions had been combined by complete forgery in every one by a man who came back from Moscow in 1935, trained for 2 years in Moscow, captured 22 communist unions. John Kerr, Laurie Short and Jim McQuillan formed a law firm and the law culture of those communists and built on it with what we are now fighting today in politics through get-up, Trotskyism, Leninism, without any of the population understanding any of them, but me and a few of my friends. And I think it's time they did and we heard more of it.